Hey guys, this is Jon Blau with the Herald Times. I'm here with Jeremy Price. After a 60-56 loss for IU against Wisconsin, we have some children in the background playing basketball. We do hear that. So.
It's not us making the noise.
Exactly.
It's better than the cleaning crew.
Exactly. So, a game that I would say through the first 30 minutes, you feel pretty good about how IU played for the most part. I mean, there were some stretches where there were some scoring droughts, but that's characteristic of this team. It's just the way things tend to be. But you're up by 9 points with 10 minutes left in the second half. And then things just kind of, the bottom just fell out offensively. I mean, they hit one shot in the last 14, and that was a three that Durham hit. So
yeah, it might have been the worst shot of the bunch that they took, to be honest with you. I mean, and that's the thing that makes this loss so frustrating and disappointing is you don't feel like Wisconsin somehow like ramped up the defense or made some sort of adjustment that threw you off. Indiana just quit making shots.
Yeah,
I mean, you had turnarounds in the post, you had layups, you had runners in the lane, you had open jump shots. I mean, you had a lot of good looks, and they just did not go down.
Yeah, and it was another. I mean, it felt almost kind of simple. In terms of almost like the Purdue game, we just couldn't hit any shots. Post game, I think Archie Miller said something like, "I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, I got no magic wand in terms of how to, make shots over 6'10" and 6'11" in the lane, and you gotta hit point blank shots. I mean, there was Justin Smith had a little lay in he couldn't make, and Race Thompson tries to dunk home or put back. That doesn't work. Runners falling short for Devontae Green. I mean, it's just. There's only so many things you can do to score points.
Yeah, and to be fair, Wisconsin did some things offensively to get them back in this game. First of all, they got Nate Reavers on the post and got some points there, and then Micah Potter comes back in out of foul trouble, gets a couple of key offensive rebounds that really sparked the rest of that run, and that rebounding was a difference because I thought up to that 10-minute mark that you mentioned, Indiana was really outworking Wisconsin. Yeah, they weren't perfect. They had their mistakes, but they were really outworking Wisconsin. They were the ones getting the offensive rebounds, getting the second chances, getting the loose balls, all those kind of things. And down the stretch, I can't say that the effort went away for IU. It just Wisconsin turned it up, and Indiana didn't match it.
Yeah, 10 of Wisconsin's 14 second chance points came in the final 10 minutes. So, and that's what Al Durham said post-game. He said, rebounds, we just have to rebound the ball. I mean, Brad Davis's three was a second chance three. Michael Potter's three-point play was a second chance play. You gotta have continuous effort, I guess, through a full 40 minutes, and that's just something that this team's had issues with.
Yeah, certainly in terms of just maintaining momentum and things. And,
right.
As you mentioned, there were missed opportunities, and it was throughout. I mean, that first half, early in the game, it seemed like they could have opened things up more and weren't able to. Then late in the first half, Wisconsin doesn't score the last 4.5 minutes. Indiana doesn't score the last 4.5 minutes. You could have created some breathing room there. Then you go up 9, obviously let that slip away. Then after Wisconsin took the lead, I think both teams had about 4 empty trips in a row on both sides where, once again, Indiana, if you score just half of those possessions, you're back in it, probably back in the lead in those situations. So once again, just, nothing unusual, nothing necessarily out of the ordinary, just too many inconsistencies to overcome a team like Wisconsin that you just can't put away a team like Wisconsin. They just kind of keep hanging around and just they make it a 40-minute game, and that's a challenge for this Indiana team. If it was a 35-minute game, this team might be a lot better.
Right. So I guess in terms of the good 30 minutes, I mean, Devontae Green in the first half was a spark. I mean, it was obviously senior day, and the seniors scored, I think, the first 17 points of the game. Deron Davis had 2 buckets, and then Devontae had the other 13. And then obviously Jerome Hunter hits a 3. It's 20-13. Kind of a lot of momentum there at that point, but then, like you said, the last 4.5 minutes of the first half where neither team scores, and just everybody went cold.
Yeah. And Indiana had that 20 points in the first 9 minutes of the game, so they only scored 8 points in the rest of the first half, and I guess obviously those were in those 7 minutes, didn't score the last 4, but yeah, just another unfathomable drought.
Yeah, and so, I don't know, Race Thompson's another positive, had 11 rebounds in 24 minutes. Didn't shoot well from the field, though. Again, like mostly everybody. Trace Jackson-Davis was 2 of 8. Thompson was 1 of 5. Rob Finney was 2 of 8. There's just too many guys shooting around that mark.
Yeah. And it seemed like, Trace didn't really do anything in the first half, scoreless in the first half. Just kind of wasn't terribly involved necessarily. Devontae, like you said, had a good first half, but then apparently sprained the ankle a little bit or whatever. He was clearly, he didn't play much in that second half, and then down the stretch there, it was pretty clear that he was limping quite significantly. I don't think that wasn't helping either, because he couldn't step into that shot and push off with the legs. So
right. So yeah, it feels like we're just kind of blathering on, but it's just like it's very simple things. You just didn't hit shots. Second chance points for Wisconsin. Play together a full 40 minutes. So, I mean, I guess the question is, at the end of the day, it's a question everybody's asking, is 19 and 12 overall and 9 and 11 the Big Ten Conference enough to make the NCAA tournament? Archie Miller thinks it is, and he had some interesting ways of saying that.
Yes, Archie Miller with the sort of the redeeming quality of this game and post-game, really. Senior speeches were actually fairly short and sweet for all involved. So there wasn't anything dramatic or interesting there. So, no marriage proposals, no family secrets, no massive tears shed necessarily or anything. So, that was all kind of boring. But then asked about the whole bubble situation, Archie Miller decided that bracketology is Sesame Street. It's a children's show, he says.
It's a children's show, yeah. He said after the camera was off, should we say it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he said that Joe Lunardi should go back in the trash can.
Yes, he said Joe was his best friend when he was at Dayton, but when the opportunity arose to crap on Indiana because he needed people to watch his show and click on his links, then he does so. So
yeah, he compared him to Oscar. It's Oscar, right?
Oscar the Grouch, yes.
Yeah, I don't remember half this stuff. I was trying to remember after the game, after he said this. Cookie Monster, I remember, obviously, and Elmo.
John, you need some kids to get you caught up on your Sesame Street.
Yeah. There were a few other people in the room who knew all about it, and I just felt very lost. But, children's show. He feels like, the strength of schedule they have. 9 combined wins in quad 1 and quad 2. He said, obviously, the committee said that, sub 500 record in conference doesn't matter.
Right.
They've already said that. Yeah. So he feels like there's very little, honestly, that IU should have to worry about, I guess, is kind of how he seemed to sound.
Yeah, and they're certainly in a much better position than last year. I mean, last year was very precarious, and I don't think anybody felt very good at all about the opportunity. Seems like this year they're in a much better position, but you're still now going to the Big Ten tournament where you have, as it turns out, they're the 11th seed. So they're going to have to play, whether it's Nebraska or Northwestern, we don't know as of this recording. But whoever it is, you have to not lose that first game on Wednesday, because you lose that one, then you finally have a bad loss, and then things get dicey.
Right. As long as you win that game, I think we're pretty sure that they're in at this point. If they had won today, it would have been over. Absolutely. Yeah. You're off the bubble. You're good. You have 6 wins over top 25 teams.
Yeah.
Now they have 5. Still a pretty good number. It's just, again, sub 500 in conference, but Archie doesn't think that matters because the committee said it doesn't. Wednesday, it's going to be another kind of must-win situation. But if you end up with Nebraska...
I think that's your preferred matchup there because, one, Nebraska's just not a good defensive team, as Indiana showed in both meetings this season.
Yeah.
And secondly, Nebraska has issues going on from injuries to suspensions, and obviously the discouragement of having lost 15 in a row going into their regular season finale this weekend. So
yeah, I don't think you want Northwestern. They're a chippy enough bunch that
they're just scrappy enough to make you sweat.
Yeah. So if you're rooting for anything, root for Nebraska to end up as the worst seed.
Yeah,
I guess in the Big Ten tournament. And
and then the rest of the Big Ten. Good luck figuring it out until the final games are done. Who's going to be that 6th seed that IU could play on Thursday? Don't know, but what you know is it'll be a decent team, and certainly one that if you win that one, then you're locked in NCAA. I mean, much as we say, well, they should be in so long as they win Wednesday, you really don't know, and you don't want to leave it to chance. Archie Miller's opinion notwithstanding,
right,
on this. So
yeah, as long he didn't call anybody on the committee Sesame Street, so I think you're all right.
Yeah.
All right. So thanks guys for listening, and we'll
see you in Indianapolis.
See ya.